All right, we're getting ready to swap out a tranny on an 89 GMC V3500. We lost reverse and third gear on the old one, so we got to rebuild one here we're going to slap in there. But since we've got this apart, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of share, better explain what the differences are in the older style and the newer style, new process 205s. In 85, GM changed the mounting on their transfer cases from going what they call a figure 8 to a 6-bolt round. So this is the older setup, and this pattern here mounts up to the old, or the 400, as well as the newer tranny or 400. The 400s are the same, and this older transmission that was on this older transfer case will bolt up to this bolt pattern. The part that's different is actually the spacer or the adapter. If you were to take these bolts off, it looks like an 8, an outline of an 8, and that's where it gets the figure 8. The other difference is, as you can see, this mount plate is much lower than on the circular. This is the circular 6-bolt, but you can see the mount plate actually stops right here. This part right here is the bushing, the mounting bushing. So it's much lower. It's shorter from top to bottom than this is. This has like another 3 inches below it. So that's the main difference between the figure 8, which goes up to 85, 84, 85 range, to the round. So this would be the round plate. So this one bolts in a circular fashion. The older style has bolts that go down and round, more of a figure 8. Now the other thing too is, because of that, there's a cross member difference between the two. This is the cross member for the newer style, and it dips down for the shafts, and then it comes up for the mounting of the transfer case. I don't have the older style cross member, but I believe, if I remember right, it's down and stays low, and then comes up in between the frames, so that it would mount lower to accommodate for the height of the figure 8. The other thing, why I got this out, wanted to kind of show what it takes for the PTO to be installed. This transfer case has the PTO on it with the output shaft. Essentially, all you need to do to mount a PTO on one of these transfer cases is you could take off your inspection cover. This is an extra cover I have. So basically, you would take that off, and then you just mount this PTO onto that. So if I was to remove that, I would just take this off, and I got the cover plate, and then bolt that right back on again. So that has the output shaft, has the lever that runs it, and that's about that. Otherwise, the transfer cases are the same. Otherwise, the linkages are the same, the output shafts are the same. Pretty much the same transfer case, other than that front mounting. Now the other thing to point out is the newer and older transmissions. This setup, I noticed the output shaft, it's 4 5/8 inches long, and the newer one is 2 5/8 inches long. So essentially, if you want to know what your length of your shaft is, just put a straight edge on the back of your shaft and measure from the casing to the edge of the very end of your shaft. This one's 2 5/8, it's the short shaft, or 2 3/8 is the short shaft, and that one's 4 5/8. Otherwise, the 400s are the same. Originally, we had hoped, instead of having this one rebuilt, because we knew we had this extra one sitting here, we were hoping we were just going to take that and mount it in to our new transfer case, but then we realized that the shaft was too long. And then we thought, well, that's okay, we'll leave those two together and mount it up in there. But then we realized that the crossmember was different, and we didn't want to think around with that, so we're just going to go ahead and we rely on this truck too much to be dinking around, so we just went ahead and got a rebuild. So we're going to throw it in there. So anyways, that's the difference. Again, this is the newer style, 85 and up is the round. The older style is what they call a figure 8, and that's what that looks like. So hopefully it helps clear that up a little bit, or you can better understand it by seeing it. Another thing to point out when we're looking at these transmissions is the spline count. This is the 32 spline. So basically very simple, there's 32 splines on here. So you need to make sure that this spline count matches up to your transfer case. If it's not, it's a no-go. You can get those in 17 and I think 27, so you got to be careful or understand exactly what you got for spline count. So again, different transfer case is going to have different splines, so then you got to get a transmission that has the right amount of splines to match up to your transfer case. These are 32. So when you're looking at them, 32 spline, new process 205s, that should match up. You just got to make sure you got the right mount and the right output shaft length. Otherwise you should be good to go.